Insurance professionals work hard every day to keep people safe, but as technology transforms the industry, how can insurers protect not only their clients, but also shield themselves from ever-changing cyber risks? My name is Elizabeth Blossfield, and I'm the host of the Insuring Cyber Podcast, a monthly look into how the world of cyber and the business of insurance are connected. This episode is brought to you by RPS. RPS helps brokers drive client success in the E&S space. See how RPS delivers tailored, data-driven insurance, benefits, and underwriting solutions at rpsins.com. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Insuring Cyber Podcast. On this month's episode, we're joined by Kasey Roh, the U.S. CEO of Upstage AI. Kasey shares how insurers are often overwhelmed by document chaos and how Upstage is using extraction technology to turn complex, unstructured files into insights for insurers. We talk about the balance between automation and human judgment and the future of agentic workflows. Kasey offered an interesting look into how AI is reshaping decision-making across insurance operations. Check it out. Hi, Kasey. It's great to be speaking with you today. How are you doing?
Good. Nice to meet you again, Elizabeth.
Yeah, you as well. I'm glad to be talking with you. And I know that we met before in New York in person, which was a lot of fun. And it's great to be talking to you again for the podcast.
Yes.
And, before we get into some of the questions, I was curious if you could just give listeners a brief overview of who you are and some of the work that you do at Upstage.
Yeah, of course. At Upstage, I am currently leading the U.S. business. So head of U.S. and really being the general manager of the entire operation that's going on in the U.S. market. Prior to joining the Upstage, my background has been an investor. So I've been in Silicon Valley, Bay Area over the last little over a decade and been seeing a lot of early stage startups, and particularly in the space of the intersection of AI and industries. And Upstage was one of the most exciting and fast-growing portfolio companies that I've seen in my surroundings. So when Upstage decided to expand to the US, I had to take on this opportunity and coming back as an operator and really taking this business go-to-market in the US.
Yeah, well, that's great. And I love the work that you're doing at Upstage. I was happy to learn about it and how much more efficiency you're bringing into the process for insurers. So I'm excited to get into some of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've spoken a lot about how insurers are sort of buried in document chaos. So could you talk about how Upstage is working to streamline those processes and how you're using AI to do that as well?
Yeah, of course. And for this question, I think it'll be really helpful if we kind of walk you through the journey that Upstage AI has taken since the beginning of our first product, OCR. So I think the readers of this or listeners might be already very familiar with the OCR, optical character recognition technology. But that was the very first technology that Upstage AI started back when we got started in 2020. So traditionally, when we have worked with carriers, brokers, and any major players in the insurance industry, we all hear that there are piles of documents that they just cannot automate because A, the complexity of these documents, but also B, the need for hyper accuracy. So here, 90% accuracy is not okay. They have to get to at least 95% and above, and ideally 98% accuracy. And when it actually bring 1% accuracy improvement, it can mean millions of dollars for these carriers when it comes to the claims processing or even reviewing the underwriting submission, because the volume we're speaking is millions of pages of documents every day, and you getting 1 0 wrong, 1 comma wrong cost a lot for the business. And you also have to rely on the BPOs or third parties to manually review and really getting rid of all the efficiency that you're trying to build in by adopting technologies. So that's where we started with OCR. And really, because of how the OCR technology works, it only worked for a set forms of the documents. So think about Accord forms. it is complex documents, but it looks the same. It is standardized. So as long as you have built and fine-tuned good OCR models, you can still extract the information from those given standardized templates fairly easily. And that's what most of the insurance, industries and carriers have achieved so far. And that's where Upstage started as well. But fast forward when LLM, generative AI, and this new generation of AI technology came about 2 years ago, we realized this new generation of AI technology is fundamentally different and can change the landscape completely, because now we're no longer dependent to the template. What that means is the AI itself can read the layout of the documents and dynamically understand, oh, there's a 2 columns in this document. There are multi-tables in this document. There's tables are going across multiple pages of the documents. All of this can be dynamically understood and organized and structured by this AI technology. So insurers can now expand their coverage beyond just set of documents. We internally call this as a long tail documents, that you're dealing with 100 different types of loss run reports. Classic example that we hear from the carriers. Hey, we get loss run reports from like 100 different vendors. It looks all different. There's no way that we can standardize it. There's a still manual element to it. Those are the types of the documents that we are we introduced our second generation extraction technology. We call it universal information extract. And that with that technology, really the change here is that we are template agnostic, schema agnostic. You tell us what's in the document that you're looking for. And no matter how the documents look, we're able to find that information and structure that output for you. And that has been the game changer that we've seen. And when it comes to the document chaos, that is the tagline that we use a lot toward our marketing slogan. Because when we think about the document chaos, it typically means they are dealing with a mixed set of very complex documents. So we're not only solving the complexity of the documents, but also the variety of the documents. And when these two challenges can be solved, I think that's when we can confidently say we are solving the document chaos.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for all of that background, because this is such important work that you're doing. And as you said, these are seemingly small things, like you said, a missed comma that you might not think about, but they can have such a big impact, and especially financial impact across, a company. So I think it's really important. And I know you mentioned some of the technology that you use. You have this document intelligence suite that sort of converts unstructured documents into structured formats. And so I'm curious some of the typical document types that create challenges, and how does some of the work that you do create more of a competitive advantage for insurers?
Right. So to go back to earlier example, loss run is one thing that we repetitively hear. Loss run is mission critical for any underwriting submission review. And typically they receive 5 years worth of history at once. And let's say this client has changed the carriers a couple times. Now we're already dealing with 2 to 3 different types of loss run reports to review a single submission. And because the template can look completely different, the traditional OCR is difficult to deal with the challenge. It can be solved if a carrier already invested to fine-tune OCR model for each specific loss run. But if it just comes with non-traditional template, there's no way that you can automatically extract those information. So we're working with one large carrier, and their challenge is that, hey, we're getting 100 different types of loss run reports every day across multiple brokers and multiple agencies. Can you guys help extract that information? They already know that from the loss run, they want to extract 10 fields, and we are able to extract those information with high accuracy. And another very good example is supplemental applications. So when it comes to submission review, typically they receive a lot of very important information in the form of supplemental application that is not standardized, and that can be in Excel, PDF, in various different formats. Because this is supplemental, it's not standardized. Typically, the way that this information has been treated is, again, manual. They look for the application and Control F, look for specific information, Control V, that into their review template. This is another very good example that we are able to automate, that's saying, hey, typically in the supplemental applications, we're looking for these 20 different fields. We are able to find those information regardless of the template, and then extract that information for them. Here, what's interesting is the way that carriers are using right now from our customer side is, because supplemental application can look so different, the information can be so different by the lines of the business. They just have massive list of information that they're looking for. Let's say like 50 different information that they're looking for. And what our model does is we go in and we search for that information and identify, hey, out of 50, this auto supplemental application have 20 information that are relevant to the auto insurance. This workers' comp application have 10 different fields that you're looking for. So this way you can catch this information in a very low lift efforts on their end by maintaining this the schema, which is like a template of the information that they're trying to extract.
Yeah, that's great. And those are helpful examples of how you're using this technology. And obviously, you use a lot of AI technology to help introduce efficiency in this process for insurers. But how do you, at Upstage, how do you sort of think about the balance between human oversight and automation, and how to manage that?
Right. So in terms of the efficiency, we understand that we've done the extraction for the last 5 years. So extraction is something that we can automate. However, the decision making, we learned over and over that what the carriers, whether it's underwriters or claim adjusters, what they're looking for is a quality information that they can make a decision. And that decision making process is not always 100% metrics driven. For that reason, we want to make sure that our solution is a augmented amplifier for human. So we're almost forming a human and AI partnership instead of replacing a human. I don't think we're getting there yet. I understand like OpenAI and Anthropic of the world are building, AGI, which is meant to be smarter than humans. We're not there yet. And a lot of times this business rules and what business wants to achieve, like what is the risk appetite, this particular lines of business that they want to hold, what are the marketing opportunities that they want to meet. All this internal information is not baked in the AI model. It's not because AI model is dumb, it's because it's just not aware. Like Harvard PhD wouldn't know my carrier I want to have 50% of the portfolio in state of New York and California. Things like that don't exist in the AI model. So we always make sure that this human in the loop process is embedded in each critical junction of the decision making. And the idea that we have is, let's first embed this human in the loop checking point and then learn the decision making pattern. So we built in the feedback loop where this underwriter approved this particular submission. Then that decision making goes back to our model and then build up that risk appetite and the decision making pattern. So then over time, we can expedite the decision making process, saying that, hey, 30% of the time, when this line of business in this state came to your desk, you approved or you requested for 2 different supplemental information. We can provide that data for them to make their decision faster and more accurate. And that's kind of the roadmap that we have right now.
Yeah, that's great. And it's important to strike that balance. And I know we're talking about, keeping the humans in the loop, but kind of on the other end, you've also mentioned sort of moving beyond extraction into more agentic workflows as well. So
Mhm.
I'm curious if there are any segments within insurance operations that you see being easily automated next.
Right. So the very first use case that we're targeting right now is submission intake automation. There are a lot of solutions that tackle this problem right now in the market. I'm not going to lie that we're the first one. But the challenge here, again, is the accurate and dynamic extraction. So a lot of times, even now, when others say they automate the extraction intake of the documents, it typically means a given set of documents, given set of the information that they know, accord or for certain forms. But what we are saying is, regardless of the submission, what's in the submission, we are able to identify those information. So there's really that flexibility and dynamic nature of the technology that we're supporting this submission intake automation. So to go back to the agentic workflow, what we mean by that is when underwriter receives email with bunch of attachment, and then let's say they have 100 emails that are sitting in their inbox and it's 4:30 p.m. or 4:45 p.m. on Friday, and they have to decide, hey, by Monday, I need to decide top 10 submission that I need to prioritize. You you can't really realistically expect them to open up 100 emails and identify those top 10. We automate that decision making process extremely easy by automating. Once the email comes in, we classify what's in the attachment, extract the key information from each document, identify whether we have complete information to start review this submission. If not, identify what's missing and send it back and say, hey, underwriter, you actually need these two other documents to start reviewing this submission, and flag that. And if it's a complete submission, then we understand their risk appetite, and I help them prioritize that, hey, out of these 100 submissions, you should really look into these top 10 submissions. And when we do this whole cycle, what it really means is we are looking into every single detail in every single document, not the one that is already preset and predefined. So the nature and the depth of the analysis is what we're really laser focused on delivering when we implement this whole end-to-end submission automation workflow.
That's great. And I can imagine that's a helpful technology because those inboxes get so crowded and
Exactly.
and you're right, it could take so long to get through just 100 of those submissions.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And just to add there, because I know we talked about efficiency, but I think that what's really important is how we save time and resource to make more room for smart underwriting, and that's where we are focused on. And the reason why we are focusing on this like first mile delivery problem, the intake process, as much as we can use technology to extract with high accuracy, we need to actually help them prioritize so then they can focus on the right problem. And that's where we believe that efficiency actually translate into better revenue potential, better revenue opportunities. And that's why we think that solving this first mile delivery is mission critical.
That's great. Well, yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. You touched on this in your last answer, but my last question is just, what's ahead for Upstage and more broadly for the use of AI technology in these insurance processes?
Yeah. Yeah. So for us, what's ahead of us is we are committed to two things. One is the tech, the product offering that I just described. We want to solve the end-to-end submission intake process, and that itself is the features that we are building on top of our extraction technology. The second thing that I really want to um, emphasize is our focus on the quality. Our differentiator is really the fact that we have all the foundational technologies in-house. So we focus on providing the quality answers. No hallucination is the first principle that we hold on to. Every response that is generated has to be grounded with an answer, visually highlighted within the documents. So when the user sees that output and ask, where is this output came from? Our response has to tie back to exact section within a document. It doesn't matter if like 1,000 different documents, we got to find that one liner in one of those 1,000 documents and pinpoint that for the users. So that really builds the trust. The quality translate into the trust in the AI. And that's what we believe. We're not the fastest mover in the market, but that's mainly because we are laser focused on the quality, and we only want to solve for the solution that we know we can deliver with the quality.
That's great. Well, it's been so fascinating to learn more about some of the work that you're doing at Upstage. And, thank you again so much for taking the time to come on and speak with me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Well, that's all for this episode and our final episode of 2025. Thanks to Kasey for joining me and to all of you for tuning in. We'll be back next year with more guests to discuss how insurance and cyber are connected. In the meantime, you can check out all of our previous episodes on insurancejournal.tv or wherever you get your podcasts. See you next year.